Hi there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations and welcome to my live stream. I am streaming at an unusual time and I will give an explanation for that once I sort out the camera situation here. I had basically planned to go and do some work today on a repair, and then I thought, well, why not stream it? So, weird time for me to be streaming, and I believe I'm probably going to upset some people because I am streaming at the same time as others, and I apologize, but yeah, such is life. We all suffer for it. So okay, quick hello to Steve from Mac84, Jack68K, House of Moth, Jay, Starbuck Tech, Thomas Armstrong, Garth Beagle. So, as I say, I don't expect a lot of people watching today, but apart from everything else, who wants to see me work on this crap anyway? So, I'll just give you a little bit of backstory. I am in a car club. It is a car club for Chryslers. So we're talking about people not in this country, people who aren't in this country won't know of the Chrysler vehicles that we used to make here in this country that were actually made here in Australia. And we had a whole line of vehicles called the Valiant, Chrysler Valiant. Went for many, many years. They stopped making them, I think, in the 80s. And then they closed down the Chrysler plant. So we stopped making them out here. But anyhow, our club includes Valiants, it includes Dodges, Plymouth, DeSoto, that sort of stuff. So anyhow, in this car club, I was at the meeting the other day, committee meeting. So I was just a normal meeting, but I'm on the committee. And one of the other committee members, he had himself a MacBook Air. And I was like, there aren't a lot of Mac people out there. I said to him, "Oh, you ever have any troubles with that? You just let me know." And he said, "Oh, well, I've got another Mac that's not working." I said, "Well, bring it in." And I didn't think he was gonna, but he did. At the very next meeting, I said, "Did you bring that computer?" He said, "Yeah, I sure did." So he's mainly interested in getting the data off, but of course we will try and fix it as well, because it is, at the end of the day, a 2012 13-inch MacBook Pro, as we see here. It's the older sort with it's got a MagSafe 1 connector on it. But what is good about this one happens to be the 2.9 gigahertz i7 model. So it's a good one to have. If you're going to have one of those older ones, it predates a Retina. Parts are readily available for these. They're a really good computer. In my opinion, I reckon these 2012s are a great little computer. So anyhow, I've set myself up here with virtually no room to work because I'm messy. I'm a grotty, messy person. But we all know that. So, Joe Williams, hello. Dave is here. Hello, Dave. Who else have we got here? Roger Jones, hello. Jeremy's VHS. Ryan Joffrey is here. And yeah, so anyhow, I'm just going to change my camera view to this one, see if it works. Top view. Yeah, it does. Okay, as you can see, fair bit of mess around the place. Got to have a good old spare paper towel. I really should have emptied this bin today. It is darn full. Maybe there'll still be time. Today is garbage day, bin day, trash day. Today is the day they come and pick it up, and it's out on the street and now waiting to be picked up with lots of space in it, and emptying that into it would have been a really smart thing to do. But anyhow, it's another story. It is Friday here. So I'm just going to clear a little bit of room for myself here. There we go. Get my wick. Get my soldering wick. I tell you, I've got to tell you guys a quick little anecdote. So I live quite close to JCar Electronics. For those who don't know JCar Electronics, that means you're not from Australia. In Australia, JCar is a well-known name, and there's a chain of stores that sell electric components. And I've got one very, very close, one actually close enough to walk to, but I drive to it if I'm lazy. And anyhow, I went in there the other day to get some jumper shunts, a whole stack of them. And while I was in there, hardly anyone in the store, while I was in there, two absolutely amazingly smoking hot young women came in asking for some help with soldering. So they'd, I think, been in the store before, then they'd gone out and they'd tried something and it hadn't worked, so they'd come back in again. And they were asking the guy behind the counter And he actually sort of fobbed them off. He said, look, I'll be right with you. I've just got to do something. Just give me a minute. And so they then walked over to where all the soldering stuff is. And so I just walked over there and said, did you say you're having trouble with soldering? I've done some soldering before, and gave them a little bit of assistance. With the benefit of hindsight, I probably should have actually given them a little demo. I think that would have probably made their life a lot easier, but anyhow, you know. Okay, so who else have we got here? We've got trash gets picked up super early around here. It normally does here too. Normally it's up before we wake up, but for whatever reason, I don't know why it hasn't been picked up yet. So maybe the guy driving the truck slept in or something. Who knows? Abeleski, hello. Nick Lopez, hello. Roger Jones, hello. Just out of curiosity, what sort of receptacle do you guys in the US use to put your trash, garbage in? Do you use the bins with the flip-top lid and the wheels? What we refer to as a wheelie bin? Patrick is here as well. Hello there. And Google Clone is here too. God, he's come here, baby. Yeah, I was trying very hard not to come off like a creepy old man because, let's face it, they were far too young for me. Here in California, we have plastic bins with wheels and flippy lids, yeah. And then the big truck that just comes in and flips them over and empties them, yeah. That's what we have here as well. You know, we got those, I guess, probably around the 80s sometime. Yeah, we call them wheelie bins. I don't know what you guys call them. It's a good joke. It's, you know, garbage man pulls up, you know, pulls up in front of, this only works with the Australian parlance, and that is the garbage man walks up to a house and knocks on the door and says to the guy, where's your bin? And he said, oh, I've got to try and remember the joke now. I've been at the store. And no, where's your wheelie bin? All right, I've been at the pub. See, where's your bin? Where have you been? Where's your bin? Where's your wheelie bin? Where have you really been? Was never a good joke. Okay, so. You know, it's funny with the benefit of hindsight. I keep thinking about that whole situation with the young women at the shop, and I keep thinking to myself, how good would it have been if I could have just roped them into doing like a video, you know, like at the shop, just say, hey, would you like me to give you a demonstration? Do you want to be on my YouTube channel? Get someone to film it and film me doing some soldering with the girls and make them the thumbnail. How good would that have been for clickbait? That just would have been awesome. Grow the channel. Okay, all right, let's get some work done here. I am going to open this up here. Well, actually, no, we won't open it up yet. You know what we're going to do first? We're going to see what it does when I give it some juice. I've been told that it is dead. D-E-D-D, dead. And I've got to find my cable. Where's my cable? I've got to find my cable. It's normally up here. It's not up here, which means it's fallen down, which means it's somewhere. Here it is. Found it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got this. Okay, this. Oh, far out. I've got this. This is basically a power cable, as you see, connected to some little banana clips, and they go into my power supply. And I set the power supply at 16.5 volts, and then I plug this in, and then I get to see what the laptop does. I get to see whether it draws any amps, and might give me an idea as to what the problem is. So I'm going to set the power supply to, I think it's 16.5 volts. That's what I think it is. I think it's 18 volts for the big ones and 16.5 for the little ones. But this little guy on the end here actually regulates that voltage. So, yeah. All right, plug him in here and plug him in here. And he is drawing very little. And we're going to plug him in here. Now, if this just works, I'll be furious. You'll see the fury in my eyes. Okay, we've got a green light. and it just fired up. That's not my idea of a dead computer. What the hell, man? It's charging, I think. Yeah, it's charging. We've got orange light. So the light's not working on this side for some reason. So I'll do this to preserve the privacy side of things. The green light came on way too fast. Did the video freeze for anyone with the audio continuing on? Did it? Did it? Did it? Yeah, wizard fix. It's going slow. I mean, it's charging. I was drawing 3.4 amps. I mean, you're not going to be getting 3.4 amps if it wasn't charging. No, it does not mean the stream is done. Rudy's Retro Intel, hello, and thank you for joining. I have got plenty of other things to do. I'll show you. I'm going to probably do something else. So, yeah. I'll check the keyboard because you know what can sometimes... So this has been completely dead flat. Now when the battery goes completely and totally dead flat, when you apply power to it, it starts up. Okay, so this got triggered to switch on. But here's one possibility that we have to look into, and that is this here. Here's the keyboard. Now, and you've got your power button up here. Now, even though the power button appears like it's separate, it is actually part of this whole keyboard assembly. That's all one thing. So the power button is part of the keyboard. Now, what can sometimes happen is when someone gives these a drink by accident, like they just pour some liquid in there, can destroy the keyboard. And in destroying the keyboard, you destroy the power button. So what could have actually been a situation with this is he could have had it all fully charged up, pressing the power button and nothing is happening. So my first thought at this stage is to actually go in and check and see if the keyboard works. Caps lock works at the very least. So that we can then, because that might be the cause of it, it might just need a new keyboard. So we'll check that. And then, of course, if it happens to be the keyboard and we know that's what it needs, I'll have to order a keyboard in, not very expensive, and I will then move on to something else. So, Pedro147, hello there. Oh, those Paul Daniel videos will be paying off now. Yes, yeah. I mean, I have been actually watching quite a lot of Paul Daniels lately. He's sort of just been coming on sort of late at night just before I'm heading off to bed. And, oh, hello. There's a great big face staring at me here. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to shut it down. Shut it down. Keyboard appears to be working. I'm not sure about the trackpad though. Seems a little bit, how's your father? Oh no, okay, shut it down. Okay, try the power button before disassembly. Okay, so I've just shut it down, and then we're going to try switching it on with the power button. So it is still charging. We have got one little flashing light on the little charge indicator on the side. You know, just got to say, I need to say this right now. I friggin' love these computers. I love them from a design perspective. I love the MagSafe on here. I like the fact that it has an Ethernet port. I love the fact that it has a FireWire port. I love the fact that it has an SD card slot that's got a little battery indicator. They're just a beautifully made laptop, and in terms of repairability and accessibility, they're absolutely fantastic. You know, just getting the board out is nice and easy. But just they're a really great little laptop. Yeah, so nice. All right, so going to try it with the power button now. And I think we have a winner. Yeah, getting nothing from the power button. So, probably going to need a new keyboard. Would be my guess. There are probably a few keys that don't work on it. That would be my guess. I can probably set it up. I'm going to boot it up off an SD card or something like that. And I would say that if I were to run a little test on all the keys of the keyboard, I would say that there are probably a few not working, because that to me is a pretty fair indication when that power button's not working. One of the things you can do with these, you can open them up. There are actually a couple of little pads inside, little exposed pads. They look like they're supposed to have a component or something like that, and the component's not there, but you can actually touch those two pads together, and it works the same as pressing the power button. And that's one of the ways you can tell if this situation has occurred. But yeah, okay, so I'd say that's what it is. So here's what I'm going to basically do with this one. I am going to open it up. I am going to clean the board, repaste the heat sink, repaste the CPU. I'm going to get a new replacement keyboard for this one. I am going to go and get something to boot up this. Okay, so can I get everyone to just sit tight for a moment while I go and grab a couple of things? I will be back in about 60 seconds. So sorry about having to leave so soon, but just a couple of things I want to try out. So back soon. Yes, welcome back. Just interesting, something that Pedro147 mentioned before about the Paul Daniels videos. I should actually mention that I started repairing these before I started moving to the vintage stuff. I used to buy broken ones on eBay, repair them and then resell them. Inspired by the Rossman videos, as a lot of people are. And I started doing the vintage stuff mainly because I found there was a niche for it. I got a little bit disillusioned buying these, repairing them and reselling them, because a lot of the time bargains could be had. Someone's going, this thing, I poured a drink into it, doesn't work anymore, and they'd sell things for cheap. Then all of a sudden, heaps of people started doing the same thing. And so all of a sudden you've got these computers that are supposedly, water damaged or whatever, going for insanely high prices, to the point that there really wasn't much profit margin in it if you were going to go repair it. And not only that, with some incredibly unscrupulous people selling them, who were actually trying to repair them themselves, finding it was one that was a no-hoper, and then selling it saying, oh, I spilled a drink on this and it doesn't work. And I had one like that where I bought it. Someone at the door. My wife is there, so hopefully she'll be able to answer it. It's probably just a delivery. I'll just have a look. Come on. Loading, loading, loading. I've got the camera at the front door. It's taking a while to load. I think my internet might be a bit slow down here. The wireless, anyway. Hello, Enzo. I haven't said hello to you today. Which way does the vortex spin when the water goes down the drain? No idea. Never really bothered to look. Why am I not getting anything happening here internet-wise? Oh, okay. I should be. Never mind. We will worry about who's at the door later on. I'm sure if there was a need for me to... Everything's just going slow today. I'm sure if there was a need for me to get up, they would press the doorbell again. All right, so very quickly. Yes, I had one person that I bought a laptop from. They said that my daughter spilt a drink in it and it doesn't work. So anyhow, I open it up. This thing has got gouges in it. This person has been... It's basically got a short which has caused a little burn, and the burn's gone through several layers, and it's just an absolute mess of a thing. So I contacted them and say, yeah, this has got signs of being repaired before. And he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, my daughter spilled a drink in it. So I then look at his sales history, and there is like laptop after laptop after laptop after laptop. So I just sent him an email and I said, how about this one? Your daughter spill a drink in that one? And what about this one here? She spill a drink in that one as well? And what about this one? It's like, yeah. And anyhow, I got a little bit disillusioned and I was like, no, not doing it anymore. So anyhow, what I have here, I've got my little string of USB sticks. As much as possible, I try and keep them consistent, but look at this one, doesn't match. One of these is not like the other. I've got all my ASDs here. This is the Apple Service Diagnostics. So that's for booting these up and checking to see whether the computer works. And then I've got a whole bunch of installers here. So we go right back to, how far do we go back? One, Snow Leopard. Okay, we start at Snow Leopard. And then we go all the way up to Mojave, I think. I think Mojave is the most recent one I have. I think. Yeah, I think. But anyhow. And then I've got this one here, a little bootable USB stick. So I'm going to chuck this in here. And hopefully, when I power it on, if I can power it on, hopefully. Okay, I'm going to have to take the back off to power it on, because as you know, the power button's not working. So, let's open them up. I need to get my little container. Got a few little gaps in this one, that'll do. Just checking all the chat here, just make sure there isn't anything I need to address with a level of urgency. Now this is just standard square screws, little Phillips head screws, not the later ones which used pentalobe, which is where they have 5 little lobes on them. What is going on there? Yeah. And with these you basically have, I think it's, there's 12 screws I think in total, and I think 3 of them are long and all the rest are short. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It's been a while since I worked on one of these. I did work on a 17-inch quite recently, a 2010 model. I had so essentially it was my cousin's computer, and he got a 2011. And as a lot of people might know, the 2011 was plagued with GPU issues, and that did happen to him as well. However, he did also get liquid damage, some pretty major liquid damage in it. And so even though it was one he probably could have taken back to Apple and got it fixed, because it was so damaged, it's unlikely they would have done that with the damage that was done to it. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got 8 gigs of RAM installed, so that's nice, rather than just a boring old 4. So, where is the little startup thing? See if I can find it, the little things. I mean, in actual fact, there's a very easy way. It's here somewhere. Is it near the power button? Near the power. It's over here, I think. Somewhere. See if I can see it. Somewhere here. Jay would know where it is. Jay would know. So yeah, somewhere on this board there are 2 little exposed pads, and you can just touch them with a pair of tweezers or whatever, and it works as the power button. But there is also another really easy way to get it to switch on, and that is to disconnect the battery, like this, like that. And then when we connect power to it, it'll boot. Oh, something just fell. Oh, that's the foot. There's the foot. Okay. I'll take the battery out, I think, and just make it easier to sit flush. And this, of course, uses a tri-lobe screwdriver, which is, that's Phillips. I really need a better way to identify these. Tri-point, there we go. Battery should always come out before doing any serious work inside, because if you happen to touch something, you can create a short and you can do some damage and some mischief, and you don't want that happening. So out comes the battery. Still in reasonably good condition, not puffed up or anything like that, but I have no idea how many, what its life is like. So now I can connect it up, and it should just start like that. Okay, let's see if I can get the option key to work. So yeah, anyhow, 2011. Oh, damn, the option key's not working. What a poo. What a poo. What do we do? What do we do, folks? What do we do? Oh, I'll switch it off for starters. Maybe I was too slow on the uptake, so. Great. So some of the keys work, but the important ones like the power button and the option key don't. Dagnabbit, I need a USB freaking keyboard, and I don't have one down here. I've only got this cordless Bluetooth type, which is no use to me whatsoever. I'm going to have to go back and get another keyboard port. Disconnect internal drive. You know what? Sometimes people just make sense. Thank you, Pedro. Yoy, yoy. Smash that like button. Right option key, that's a thought. Okay, well it's booting now, and I know that the hard drive's disconnected, so it's got to be booting off my little SD, SanDisk, SD, what do you call these things? USB stick. Anyone who's ever replaced one of these keyboards will know how joyous it is. It's quite therapeutic because you have to undo about like 110 screws or something like that. And then you put the new one in, and you have to do up like 110 screws. Yeah, it's you just get a bit of music going in the background while you do it. If of course I was a very wealthy person and I could pay people to do things for me, that's one of the jobs I'd pay them to do. But it's also quite rewarding. I have a lot of trouble when you take these keyboards out, putting them back in, getting the backlight to work as well as it did. Just the way the things are stuck on there. I often find that once I've replaced the keyboard, in particular if I'm reusing the old backlight, because you can buy keyboards with the backlight as well, but they're more expensive. But if you're reusing the old backlight, I don't even know what operating system it is on there, but it's just given me a denied. Maybe that operating system's too old for this. I can't imagine it. What's the oldest this one would run? This would run old stuff, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? I've got a couple of bootable OSs here. What do you reckon? 10.10? What's that? What's 10.10? El Capitan? Do you reckon this would run El Capitan? 10.10, I think. 10.9, 10.10, El Capitan, Sierra, High Sierra, Mojave. I don't know why that's happening. I wouldn't have expected it. I must have put a... Go with High Sierra to be safe. Yeah, I mean, I've got the... I don't have a bootable one, though. I mean, I thought that was High Sierra. But, you know. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. What will be Yosemite. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know that. I always forget. I forget the numbers all the time. So, yeah, I got... Yosemite. All right, so what happens now? Ask ourselves that question. I'm just going to put the High Sierra installer in. And we'll try the right option key this time. Nope, still not working. That's booted straight up into, I assume that. Ah, 10.0 beta. Yeah, once keyboards start getting glued in, so even the unibody plastic MacBook, even that one, those keyboards are actually stuck in with kind of like there's little plastic things sticking up, and then they get melted down to flatten them. Now I have actually replaced those keyboards, tear them off, and then I screwed lots of tiny little holes and put screws in place of the little plastic things. It's very, very, very tedious, very. But I got it working. I don't know why. Why would you do that for a unibody MacBook? Who knows? Anyhow, I gave it to someone. It was a gift to someone. So, you know, sharing it, being kind. I think you should recap this. Yeah, I'm going to recap all the caps. All the caps. I think, does this one, no, I'm not sure if this one has any electrolytic, but if they are, they're polymer hybrids, so they don't leak. Before you get started, can you recommend a good multimeter? Well, I'm glad you asked, Dave. You know, everyone out there should have a multimeter, not just electronics people. Everyone should have a multimeter. They are so handy because, I mean, you know, let's face it, if you got like a live wire exposed or something like that, you know, you can avoid danger by knowing that it's live, that sort of thing, avoid any electrocution. What about checking to see if a battery has still got power, you know? Find a battery lying around somewhere, need to know whether that battery's got some power left in it. You need a multimeter for that. So, what you want is a multimeter with lots of features. You need a multimeter. It booted off the drive. It plugged itself back in again. Oh dear. So what you need is a multimeter that is, I'm going to put some tape over it so it can't make itself connect again. You need a multimeter that is full of features. And available at a budget price. And in order for you to find something like that, you could do a hell of a lot worse than go and buy yourself a Kaiweets KM601 smart digital multimeter. Have a look at all the things this does. My goodness. I do have a review video on this one if you want to check it out in further detail and just see how it performs. And look at that beautiful big color screen. Fantastic. There are links in the description if you'd like to buy one. And this is what they look like. They're just awesome. Okay, so that's enough of that. Now, of course, what I will say is, yes, there are better multimeters out there, but not for the price of this one, by gum. Okay, right, what am I looking for? Oh, that's right. We remember now. Okay. This is turning out to be a lot harder than it should be, and I really don't know why I didn't boot off this. I mean, unless I've gone and installed something like really new on this or really old. I'm so confused. I'm confused. Well, because I've got a drive of the system on it somewhere as well, floating around, or I might have erased it to use it for something else. I've been doing a fair bit of data recovery for people lately, and so I've been using all my external drives to plonk data on to give it back to them and say, here's your data. Angular momentum. Somewhere in a place with very low bandwidth Wi-Fi. Is it winter down under? It is winter down under. It is currently, it's the last month of winter, so we basically start spring in, I don't know, about 25 days or something like that. So 25, 26 days, so whatever that is, 3 to 4 weeks. So yeah, we're heading towards spring. And to be honest, the other day it got up to 25 degrees C. That was nice. That was a nice sort of thing to have. It's going to get cold again over the next week, but that felt pretty warm for winter, I tell you. Don't ask me what that is in the Fahrenheities, because I do not know. What am I trying to do with this laptop right now? That's a good question. That's a very, very good question, Starbuck Tech. There is... What I would really like to do is I would love to be able to just try out all the keys on the keyboard, just to see, you know, what the situation is there, how many keys are working or not working. That's probably the only reason I wanted to boot it up. Probably. Does the 2012 still have an ASD, an Apple Service Diagnostic? Is House of Moth, are you there? Actually, Pedro would probably know this one as well. So for those who aren't aware, a lot of the Macintosh models, they have a thing called ASD or Apple Service Diagnostics. And what it allows you to do is you can boot up into a very sort of minimal operating system, and you run a whole series of tests. It goes and checks all the sensors and stuff like that, and then come back and tell you whether the computer's got any problems. And up until a certain point, you had an ASD sort of thing, service diagnostics drive or whatever, for all of the computers up to a certain age. And then when they got past that age, then the only way you can run Apple Service Diagnostics is through Apple. They've got, you know, they've made it all sneakily unavailable. So, what's this C stuff you speak of? Well, angular momentum, it is time for a change. There's no law against using the metric system over there, so I encourage you to do it. It's much better. But anyhow, you can use things like Google to do the conversion. So if you go 25 degrees C, what is 25 degrees C as F? And I promise you Google will tell you. 2012 has an ASD. Do you know which one it is, Jay? Save me looking it up. Off the top of your head. If you don't worry about it. It's all fine. It is booting. It's just booting very slowly because it's coming off a memory stick. 3S155. I think this is a late 2012. I think. But I could be wrong. It's definitely 2012. Okay, what have we got? 3S155, 3S156, 3S155. There we go. Can always see if it boots off that. Fahrenheit, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So there you go. It was 77 degrees Fahrenheit 2 days ago, and that didn't feel particularly wintry. I don't know how that is and where you're from, whether you consider 77 degrees Fahrenheit hot or cold for winter, because I don't know, but I consider it to be pretty warm for winter. Oh, okay, here we go. We've got an installer here now. Now, what if I was to go, okay, so what can we do here? What are we able to do here? Not a lot. Okay, yeah, okay, it's just delaying. Okay, you can stop now. You can stop. Yeah, we got issues here. If you have a look at this, it's like it's going flicking off and on and on, off and off and off and on and on and on. So I'd say we've probably got some issues with the trackpad as well. I definitely think this thing has had a drink. I would say we probably find liquid damage inside there. I've got lots of spare trackpads, so I'm not too fussed about that. It's only keyboards I don't have. Yeah. Oh, it's working. I just have to press really hard down. I think it doesn't have the graphics driver in, so that's why everything's really slow. Whoa! How cool is that? That's a tab key or something. Yeah, it's a tab key is getting stuck down. What have we got here? Startup disk. Yeah, we got chaos here, just chaos. So this one is, it's 10.11. 10.11.6 is the one that's on this thing. So that's old. Why would I have something so old? That's why I didn't boot from it. Time to update that, folks. Boy, oh boy. All right, okay, well, what do we do? Do I bother even pulling it apart now because I don't have a keyboard to put in at this stage? That just sort of seems to me like I should probably wait until I got the keyboard before I pull it apart. Hello, Sean. Sean from Action Retro. Thank you for joining. What was I watching of yours the other day? I was watching something I found very entertaining. Can't remember what it was though. Never It was good. Whatever it was good. Check to see if it needs to be cleaned at least. Oh, alrighty then. Okay, well, we're going to shut this down. So, what do we know about it? We know that it definitely has a faulty keyboard. We saw just there, I mean, it's flashing up the tab key and stuff like that. Weird stuff going on. So the keyboard is stuffed, the power button doesn't work, neither do either of the option keys. So this keyboard is definitely wrecked. It's possibly trackpad bad as well, but it might be just because of the keyboard flashing up, you know, stuff and making the trackpad not work properly. You know, because it's moving around. It's just a button, but it does work sometimes. Typically, I've found that if the button doesn't work on these, it just doesn't work at all, not intermittently like that. So, yep, that's that. Other than that, it seems to be working fine. I will buy a new one on eBay, a new keyboard on eBay. They're not particularly expensive. Let's have a quick little look around here at the danger zones on these. Generally, the danger zones are around the top. See if we've got any corrosion, anything that needs to be cleaned up, and then we'll move on. So, let us. Okay. Whoa. Hello. How are you today? Anyone else see that? Sorry, it's out of focus. There we go. Focus. You need focus. The Tech Doc. Hello there. 65F is heaven, is it? 40 degrees is minus 40. Yes, no, I've never even. So once you get down to minus 40, that's where they two converge. It's like minus 30 something. Fahrenheit and Celsius actually converge. They're the same. Yeah, anyhow, so look, we've got some really nasty corrosion around this capacitor here. We're just going to lift this guy off. I suspect it's probably still working, but it doesn't look too crash hot. And it has happened because a piece of dust has sat on top. Moisture has gone onto that dust, and then we've got corrosion being caused. This guy here is the, what's he called? The, far out, it's so long since I've worked on these. This is the SMC, System Management Controller. And it's in a pretty kind of, what would you call it? It's in a spot here where it can actually get quite a lot of corrosion and stuff around it, so not ideal. Yeah, looking around, it's not too bad. I mean, just that one that I can see, there's probably some nastiness on the other side as well. I'll probably need to lift the board off. Yeah, let's see if I've got a donor for this one. So, which board is this? Who knows off the top of their head which board I am looking at here at the moment? It's we're looking for a code that starts with 820. Here we go. 820-3115B. I have got stacks of those. So bear with me while I dig out some 3115s. I think they're probably all here. There's a 3115. Nope, that's a 2936. Nope. Wee. 2936. I've got a lot of 2936s as well. 293. I've got more 2936s than anything by the looks of things. But we'll keep looking because I know I've got lots of 3115s. I just like to find more than a couple, more than one, because you watch, you go grab it, and then the bit that's missing is the bit you need. Ah, that looks like it could be. I don't know what you are. What? Oh God, that's ancient. That's like a Cortu Duo. That's old. My eyes aren't so good. Here's a 3115. There are some people, there's another 3115. There are some people, I won't mention any names, but there are some people who have donor boards organised neatly in little slots, and they have like labels on them. So you go, I just need one of those, and you grab it. I am not one of those people. I could have been, but I'm not. So let's just see. We've got to find. Let's see if we got one with the same component on it. It's this guy here. That one's pretty ugly. We'll do it if just in case though. That's a bit neater. We'll use this one. All right. So board's got to come out, and we're going to have to remove and replace some components. So I'm going to change views here while I disassemble this. I'm going to regret this because now this thing's going to be in pieces while I wait for a keyboard to be delivered. I really would like to be able to see better. Any interest in doing a soldering class like Lewis? All right, so anyone been watching any interesting shows or seeing any good movies or anything like that? I always like to chat about that sort of stuff. Always interested in people's thoughts on these sorts of things. So I watched a movie last night before. Old favourite of mine, one that I haven't seen in a while. Just get reminded what a fantastic film it is, and that is Silverado. For any of you who haven't seen it, it's like from the 80s or something like that, and it's a Western, and it is a very entertaining film. I mean, it is made so well. Okay, whip, whip, whip. Let's get the little, this is our camera, and that would be, come on, out you come. Out, come out. See, this is obviously why it's important to not have the battery connected up. I'm sitting here poking around this thing with metal tweezers. Poop, 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 poop. There we go. All right. Come on. Excuse me, I am going to need a, what do you call those things? With the little things? Torx, that's the one. Just got to find the darn thing now. The Orville, yes. Now, an interesting thing about the Orville, what is that? That's a Pentalope. I watched the first, was it 2 seasons or 1 season? I'm not sure how many it's had now. And I loved it. And I watched the first episode of the latest series, and I didn't like it very much. Now, I need to watch more. I accept that. But I just felt like they'd lost a lot of the laughs. I'm going to find everyone but the one I need, aren't I? Oh no, that's a good one. Okay, need my little container again. Season 3 got more serious. Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things that I should say, just straight off the bat. I really don't like the actress that plays the part of the Doctor. Never have. She's been in lots of shows, and I've never really thought much of her. I've just, don't particularly like her. And yet she seems to just get raves. Everyone's like, oh, she's the best, she's so awesome. Have her in the next episode. Feature her in the next episode. I'm like, can you not? And so that is a bit of a problem, and there's nothing that's going to be done about that, because as I say, so many people seem to like her. So I just have to deal with that. But the early series, there were just so many laughs in it, and it's like, damn, this is the way Star Trek should be, with lots of jokes and stuff. I mean, why does everything have to be so darn serious? And so, when the latest series came out, and it sort of had lost a lot of those laughs, I was like, you know, that's a real disappointment. Because I'm also a huge Family Guy fan. Come on, test me, someone test me. Give me a trivia question about Family Guy. Now, where's the... That's down there, isn't it? Yeah, okay, that's there. That, come out, you. What am I getting stuck on? Getting hung up on something. Well, I've still got a screw in here somewhere. Anything is possible. It's been a bloody long time since I pulled these apart. Something's jamming up here. I just feel like something's still screwed in, but I don't see a screw. So what is going on? Is it? Oh, there we go. Okay. It was stuck. The heatsink had got stuck to that, and that's why it wasn't coming up. So I just needed to be more forceful. More forceful, more resourceful. I'm really looking at this at the wrong angle. I don't even know why I put it around that way. I mean, I would almost always work on a computer this way. Is it just pure laziness that I decided to do it that way? There we go. Okay, what have we got here? That's the microphone. What a pain in the bum. Let's get that undone. Sorry folks, I'm not looking at the chat at the moment. I will get back to it. I will look. And peace will be restored. All over the world. Oh, come on. There we go. Now get out of it. Get out of it. All right. So that's as far as I'm going to go on this for now until I actually go to do the keyboard. I'm not going to pull all those bits out. Can't be bothered. I need somewhere to put this. Oops, there goes the keyboard. How about I rest it on the garbage bin? There we go. Just make sure it doesn't go in. All right. All right. So. What is his favourite treat to his kids? Who? I've watched like every episode of The Family Guy like about 56 times, so yeah. Yeah. Right, let's whip off this this heatsink. I probably should take the fan off too. Oh, threat. What is his favourite threat to his kids? Who are we referring to? All right. Right, so the RAM's out. Let's get the heatsink off, and we'll just give this a little bit of a look-see over, and I'll replace that corroded capacitor. Family Guy trivia. You just ignored my question. You said his, what is it? What is his favourite threat to his kids? What, all the kids or a specific child? Are you referring to him saying, "Shut up, Meg"? It's a very strangely worded question. Okay, let's get some of this old heat sinky stuff off. Thermal paste. I used to have a toothbrush that I would say specifically for getting this off so that I wouldn't get, this is the one, I have it written on it, it's dust, so that's the dust one. Nope. What's this one? This one's the heat sink, so this is the one for getting the thermal paste off, which I end up using for other things when I can't find the other one. Okay. Just easier to clean this off this way than in the ultrasonic. Ultrasonic would take a long time to get all that crap off. All right, this is pretty dusty, so let's see if there's anything else on here. When the kids upset him, what does he tell them he will do to them? Is this, you talking about a common thing or just on a single episode? Because I don't actually recall there being a recurring theme on that. So when you say it's his favourite threat, that sort of makes me think it's something that's recurring, but I don't, nothing comes to mind with that as a recurring threat that he has used. See, these are the capsules. Oh God, I'm not showing you the microscope. Scope view. These are the caps I was referring to. These ones are polymer. You can tell because they've got the purple there. So these aren't going to leak. So they don't actually have a liquid inside them. It's more of a powder. So interestingly enough, despite the fact that we have all of this fuzz, there's not really much in the way of corrosion on this side. I guess we should be happy about that. A little bit of dirty here. But, you know, nothing green. Green's the stuff we're always on the lookout for. There we go. Yep, I think this will all clean up pretty well with a little bit of a spell in the ultrasonic cleaner. Nothing particularly bad to look at here. Just keep looking. Just take these off. He says it a lot, quite a few episodes. All right, okay, I'll give in. You tell me, what is it? Okay. Okay. All right, well, let's go and change that one cap over. And then I will then chuck this in the ultrasonic cleaner. It'll be good. So the ugly one was this guy here. This guy. Nasty. So let's just check and make sure that my replacement one has that component, and it does. Bing. I'll get myself a better pair of tweezers. These are awful. They don't meet in the middle. There we go. All right. Let's get ourselves some flux. Now, anyone out there that may or may not know stuff about flux, I am actually using Amtech NC559 ASM-TF, TF standing for Tachyflux. It is, without a doubt, my favourite flux, even though there are other options out there. Another thing to note with these boards, these black boards, these modern black boards, they are almost like their own heat sink. They absorb heat like you wouldn't believe. So often getting components off can take a bit of a while compared to the old vintage ones. And when you've got corrosion like this, it can take a little bit longer as well. Goodbye. We can get rid of this one too. He doesn't look too crash hot. Goodbye. Right. As you can see, we've still got solder underneath here. So those components were almost definitely still doing their job, but still got to get rid of them. F is for family. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Completely different shape. Well, that makes sense. Dave's Digital Domain. Hello there. Is there anyone here I haven't said hello to? I don't think I've said hello to you, Chris Seeb, so hello. All right, so just got to clean this up. I'm going to get some new solder onto there. I'm using my great big fat soldering iron tip here at the moment. We'll see how I go. If it gets too tedious, I'll change it over to something smaller and more appropriate. But this, of course, is the tip that I use when I'm doing vintage stuff. And where's my solder wick? There it is. At least we got to do something on this board. You know? It wasn't just sort of, oh, well, it works, let's stop. We did manage to find some corrosion that needs to be sorted out. Far out. You get out of the way. You get out of the way. These have come up really well. These are ceramic capacitors, which means they're not polarized, so when you put the new ones on, they can go in any way you want. Now, I could, of course, look up to see what these components are, what their ratings are and stuff like that, but I'm not going to bother because I'm just taking them off another board. I know they'll match. Sometimes if I don't have a donor board, I will steal from, I'll look them up in a board view or whatever, and then I'll find out what size they are and steal a similar size one from somewhere else on another board. Just got to get some solder on here. Yep, probably more than I need there, but never mind. So this is how I deal with surface mount components. This is the way I do them. I've got a surface mount component tutorial video coming. I have talked about it before. It is coming. It's just not here yet. Now, where did I put the frickin' donor board? Oh, this will do. This is this is 3115. So we're going to be taking, let's get that into camera view there, like that. And I will be taking, they look like crud, we won't use those. I swear, where did I put that board? I mean, is that it? Did I stick it up like that? No. Oh, here it is. Found it. I just put it somewhere stupid, that's all. It's my thing, man. That's how I do it. That's how we get things done in this part of the world. Okay. So I'm going to be taking this guy and this guy, and I'll do them one at a time because I'm not good enough to just grab them both at the same time. Some people are, but I'm not. This one's had the SMC rated. Probably me fixing another one. Oh, come off. Anytime. Gotcha. Right, now for this I'm actually going to just reduce the output. One of the most annoying things about this hot air station is you have to actually have the thing off the, you can't change the setting up while it's in the cradle. It's so tediously annoying. Okay, so just going to apply some heat, get that soldery meltery, solder meltery, melt the solder, and there we go. Now I'm just going to let that dry, take the iron away, put a little bit of flux on there, apply heat, and the surface tension of the solder should pull that component right into the spot where it needs to be. Like that. And there he is. Then we're just going to do the next one, and sorry that was out of focus. This is the way, it's always good to have things out of focus. Keeps people guessing. Got some melty plastic smells going on here at the moment. Oh, that's where the melty plastic smell is coming from. Oh, I'll have to deal with that later. I haven't got a hand to deal with it now. Oh, stuff you. Pain in the balls. Okay, spin them around this way. Okay, let me just put a little bit of flux on there, and then we'll just get this one nestled in there. Okay, there we go. Looking good. Let's just make sure I didn't accidentally remove. Oh, for fridge magnet's sake. Let's make sure I haven't just accidentally removed any components, which I do sometimes because, you know, it's me. And we're looking pretty good. So, as long as I haven't stuffed the SMC by giving it heat and stuffing up the solder balls underneath it, I think we'll be as right as rain. Yeah, okay. So, let's get rid of all these donors. Donor. Oh. How did they fit in there? I don't get it. I took them out of there, now I can't seem to get them back in there. That makes no sense to me. It defies the laws of physics. Oh, stuff it, you can go there. All right, nice and out of focus. So we can jump away from that view now. We'll go back to the top view because that's all it for the microscoping. I might just check and make sure it still works. Thought all you did was classic Macs. Have you ever serviced a PowerBook before? Yeah, well, PowerBook. Sort of. So I've done lots of MacBook Pros and stuff like that, and MacBooks. But in terms of a PowerBook, sort of. I've kind of worked on some of my own. I've had more failures than successes. Those things are so touchy. You know, you can just have one that's like, it's sort of working, it's nearly working, and then you take it out, you have a look at it with a microscope, you put it back together again, and it stops working altogether. They're just so finicky. And then obviously other than just, you know, so I don't know what sort of vintage PowerBook you're referring to, but yeah, generally not. I don't really touch them. Don't like working on them, basically. And I've got more than enough of the other ones to work on. What era Macs were you repairing when you first started all this tinkering business, before 68K, that is? So it was mainly probably computers from around about the 2007-ish sort of time frame to, you know, sort of to probably about 2012, 2013. MacBook Airs up to like 2015 and stuff like that. I have worked on some newer ones, but yeah, some of them are really hard to get hold of donor parts for. So I don't really like working on them because I look at them and I go, oh, it needs that, and I can't get that. So, yeah, I mean, it was typically, I mean, at the time that I was servicing a lot of these, you could get pretty decent resale value on a lot of these. I could sell some of these for like, $500. And so if I managed to get one for $100 and repair it and sell it for 500, I was doing really well. Back in the days, not so much these days. Those glasses need some Windex, don't they ever? Look at them. Look at them. Look at that. It's serious gunk. A little bit of isopropyl alcohol probably wouldn't hurt. Iso alcohol. Look at this. I've got some in a squeeze thing. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. All right. I do apologise to anyone who came in here to watch and was expecting to see vintagey stuff, and then they see this. What is this garbage? I do apologise to those people for that. But it just comes down to the needs, what I needed to actually work on. So I'm going to get the case. We're going to just plug this in again. I'm not going to worry about plugging in the microphone. I'm just going to plug it in, see if it works. I do want to connect up the display though to see that it does fire up the display. That's all I really need to see. I don't really need to plug much else in. So let's connect the power this way, this way. That just scared the hell out of me. The fig tree is starting to expel some figs. And when that happens, I have this constant sort of banging sound as the fig falls off the tree and lands on the roof of this shed. Workshop, whatever you want to call it. Studio. Let's call it a studio. It's a studio today because I'm filming in it. Yeah, and so you just get this bang sound, really loud, and it scares me. Particularly if I'm working with high voltage. Just working away and then bang, it's go, three. Get quite a start. There we go. Have I mentioned Tinker Different today? If I haven't, I should. Tinker Different. What an awesome online forum it is. Full of tech geeks and nerds and whatnot, all helping each other out. Isn't that a fantastic thing? Great to be part of. So yeah, check it out. Check it. Pop in some RAM. I'll just plug in the fan so that we can see fan spin, because as we all know, that's how you tell if something's working. Fan spin. Hey, does it work? I don't know. Let's see if it has fan spin. Well, you go. Oh, there it is. All right, that'll do. That should be enough for me to at least see if the screen comes on, if it starts, that sort of thing. So, connect it up with some power. Yep, I've got screen, backlight, whatever. It's not going to boot because it's got no drive connected to it, but I should at least get the flashing folder. I'll give it a minute. I have got so many parts for like G4 laptops and stuff like that. Fan's going mental because none of the sensors are connected. When you don't have any of the sensors connected, it gets really upset. Okay, we've got the flashing question mark. That's good for me. All right, well that's good. So we've at least replaced that we've cleaned up that little bit of corrosion. This is now going to spend some time in the, actually the reason it's also going hot is because it has no heatsink connected to it. How about that? We don't like to leave it like that for long. So this is going to go in the ultrasonic cleaner. We're going to get rid of whatever residual dust is there, which means it's less likely for it to get corrosion and whatnot. I do think this is a computer worth repairing. As I say, it needs a new keyboard, but I do think it is worth repairing because it's a 2.9 gigahertz i7. You could still do a lot of stuff on this, even if it's just one that you give to your kids or something, and they do their word processing on it or something like that. Or, you know, I mean, I think it's worth it. With Open Core, you can probably get Open Core Legacy. You can probably get the latest OS running on it as well. I know I've got Open Core running on my 2012 15-inch MacBook Pro. Runs a beautiful. Okay, so this is going back on the bin because that's the only place I have here to put it. And this is going to go up here in the pile to be ultrasonically cleaned. The cleaner's not warm at the moment, so. And then I have to order a keyboard. I'm going to put these in a little zippy locky so that I can keep them with the job. Is that one? Is that one? Yeah, that's one. Is it big enough? Is it going to be big enough to hold those? What do you reckon? Have you got any 17-inch logic boards? Probably. Having said that, I can't guarantee that any of them work. And if one of them does, I'm actually going to steal it and put it into a laptop I have here for a customer who brought me a 17-inch, which is almost definitely the GPU. We know that is a very common point of failure. I've actually got a 15-inch G4 that works beautifully, and it's been looked after like you wouldn't believe. I got it given to me by a friend of mine. She's a designer, and then when she got a new computer, she's like, I don't need the old computer. Do you want it? I'm like, yeah, thank you. And it is just in pristine condition. So yeah, which is kind of ironic because I think she is someone who is very, very careful with things, but she is also a friend of mine who accidentally drove over her laptop with a car. And the laptop was never the same again. I have a 2009 MacBook Pro. Can I put modern Mac OS on it, or should I just install Linux on it? That's a good question. 2009, now that's probably still Intel Core 2 Duo, I would think. It might be an i5. I'm not sure. I'd need to check. But, yeah, I don't know. Does it bring on the fruit bats or not? It sure does. Yeah, so this is a great, I mean, if you could see this tree, it is massive. It's a huge ficus. And they're not figs that we can sort of eat, the peoples can eat, because they're little tiny things like that. And then when they dry out and they get little rock hard and they fall on the roof. But the fruit bats love them. So yes, at certain times of the year when the tree is in fruit, we just get absolutely and totally inundated with fruit bats, which I love. They're gorgeous things, absolutely gorgeous things. Okay. Right, so what are we going to do now? How long have I been going for? I've only been going for an hour and 18 minutes. So, got a couple of options. I can go up and I can grab a power supply to recap or something like that. I can try and find something to do there. Or, shall we try and put a new battery into an iPod Touch? What do you reckon? How do people feel about me trying to put a new battery in an iPod Touch? Yes, well, see, I don't have the problems with the bat shit here because it's right in the back of the yard. It's nowhere near where any cars or anything like that are. Yard. Oh, no, I'm not going to do... the Javier's SE30 needs its own special fanfare. That's got to be done. I need to give people warning for that. I was going to try and do it this weekend. I may still. We'll just see. I want to do a nice thumbnail. I want to get it scheduled with plenty of warning time. So I've got to see what my weekend is looking like. If it is, I'll try and get that set up today or whatever. But yeah, I want that one. That one, it can't just be an off-the-cuff thing. I want people to know this is the stream where he looks at the SE30. So yeah, I've got to look at my weekend as to whether I'll stream tomorrow or the day after. I need to find out exactly what I have on. Oh crap, that's meant to go in the Ziploc as well. And by the way, Joe, hello. Okay, touch it. All right, well, we're going to have a crack at this iPod Touch. I don't know how it will go. We'll give it a whirl, eh? I mean, got to try it. How do you? I've got to try and get the thing out of the freaking case first. There we go. All right. What have we got? What have we got? It looks like a phone, doesn't it? Never owned one of these before. There aren't any screws on the bloody thing. I'm going to have to heat this off, aren't I? Wow. The battery's already helping me. I don't know if you can see this, but the battery is quite swollen. See that? It's going to make my life a little bit easier getting this off. So yeah, I mean, this looks to me like there's no screws in it whatsoever, which means it's just going to be heat to open it up. But you know what I'm going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to bring up the iFixit instructions. What's the big deal about this SE30? Well, let me tell you, Abeleski, this is an SE30 with bad battery damage that was originally acquired by Javier, the Havmaster. Then he sent it to Joe from Joe's Computer Museum to have a look at. So Joe had a look, he did a few trace repairs, still couldn't get it to work, needed to be able to inspect it a little bit closer, but at the time, Joe had no microscope. So he then sent it to Steve from Mac84. Steve did 2, maybe 3 live streams on it, trying to repair traces, trying to find problems, trying to fix it. No luck with that. So then it got sent here to me in Australia. But it got sent in with a bunch of other stuff that was actually getting sent to someone else who lives about an 8-hour drive away from me, up on the sort of northeast from where I am. And there it sat for a really long time. And there are lots of reasons for that. One is COVID lockdown, another is there was some flooding and stuff up there. But eventually, like about a year later, a little under a year, but about a year later, that board finally found its way to me, and I have it now. It's here somewhere. And that's the story behind it. So it's been passed along from person to person to repair it. And of course, in the time that it was sitting there waiting to have something done to it, Joe, not only did he get a microscope, he got way better at repairing SE30. So he's probably like, why? I should have just kept it. But anyhow, that's another story. All right, so we're going to bring up the old iFixit here for an iPod Touch. And I'll follow the instructions because sometimes you need to know stuff. Like you might go to lift it off and you suddenly find that there's a cable right there and you damage it. So you get to know when you use the iFixit guides. So iFixit is fantastic. They are not paying me anything to say that. I think this is a 7th gen. It looks like that. 7th generation. Okay, yep. Let's have a look here. Power button. Battery. Power button, volume button. How do I get to the battery? So I don't have battery here. Power button, volume button. Rear case. LCD shit. Can I use it? Or is it 6th gen? Maybe it's 6th gen. Because maybe, I don't know. I have no idea. I just don't know enough about iPod Touches to know what's what. iPod, let's try 6th gen. Touch, 6th gen. This could be it. Looks similar. Battery. None of these have battery on them. Oh well, hopefully it'll all make sense when we open it up. Yep, okay, just checking. All right, this looks pretty darn straightforward. So, let's just have a crack, shall we? Yeah, who gets it next? Well, I don't want to be arrogant or anything like that, but in actual fact, there is some really, really good information coming out now about SE30s, and so I feel like my chances are probably fairly good of getting it working. You know, in terms of you know, diagnostic steps for dealing with the problematic SE30. There's some really good info around now, and so I'm feeling fairly confident. So I'm just heating this up just to make the glue a little bit melty, give me a better chance of removing it. But I just don't want to apply too much heat. I don't want to kill it. So I'm just being careful. Some heat, but not too much heat. Do-do-do. 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 So did you guys hear about that Batgirl movie that Warner Brothers have decided to shelve? So they spent like $90 million on making this movie, this Batgirl movie. It was originally going to be streamed, it was originally going to be on HBO, and then, I think it was HBO, and then they decided to give it cinematic release, and then they've basically decided that it's not good enough for cinematic release, but then they haven't reverted back to doing a release on streaming services, and they're literally just shelving a $90 million movie. Can you believe that? What an incredible waste of resources. It must be terrible. Can you imagine how bad it was? They've said it's got nothing to do with the quality of the film. Come on. We're not stupid. Well, some of us are. I like to think I'm not. But, you know, can I tell you something interesting about this hobby? The old tech hobby, that sort of stuff. It has introduced me to some of the most incredibly intelligent people I have ever met. And it's very humbling. Very humbling. There's always someone cleverer than yourself, you know? I've never considered myself to be a super intelligent person, but I don't... switched on. I don't consider myself a dummy either. But I've just, you know, I have met, since getting into this sort of tech stuff and the YouTubing and all that sort of stuff, I have just met some of the smartest folks out there. Always impresses me. Oh, itchy. Sorry, microphone itchy. Can't figure out how to do a thing in 5 seconds and throw it across the room. Well, it's a good job you're very smart then, Joe, so you can figure these things out in 5 seconds. Yeah, I would use, if I hadn't already invested in Final Cut Pro, I would probably use Resolve. We're referring to DaVinci Resolve, the editing software. Amazing stuff, amazing stuff. But yeah, I used Final Cut Pro back since version, like, I don't know, Final Cut version 2 or something like that, you know, and then I went to like 3 and then version 5, and then they changed up to version 10 and completely changed the software. And I've just invested a lot of time in learning that and everything, and so I use Final Cut Pro. I quite like it. I'm a big fan of Final Cut Pro. I think it's a nice piece of software. But if I hadn't invested in Final Cut Pro, I would definitely be using DaVinci Resolve. Developed in Australia, is it? Aussie company. In fact, we make a lot of video gear here. Really? I did not realise that it was an Aussie company. Well, how about that? I know that we've got a lot of big special effects agencies that are out here. I know that there's one of them does a lot of special effects for The Boys, which is the Amazon Prime TV series, which if you haven't seen, you should see because it's brilliant. It's one of the best shows that's come out of TV in a long time, in my opinion. Wonderful satire. Very, very scathing view of the world. And very, very exciting too. Great stories. Okay. Look at that. Did I not need to do that? I mean, does this just clip off or something? I've got a feeling like this just clips off. And I didn't even need to do all that stuff with the hot air and stuff like that. Why didn't anyone tell me? It looks that way anyway. Oh well. Yep, just clips off. I didn't need to remove any of that glue because these obviously aren't watertight. So they've just made them so they clip. Oh my God, what's going on here? Okay. Right, now we revert to the old thingy. Oh no, they heated it off as well. Oh, never mind. Step 12. Okay, what do we do now? Okay. Gently fold the display away from the rest of the iPad. I have done that. You see me doing that? There. We're going to undo this. And that comes off, and there's the battery. Okay, cool. So this thing's got to come off. So we're going to need another container here for me to put bits in. Because we've got more bits. There we go. Yeah. That's probably meant to go into another computer. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, so little screws. Little tiny screws. What about this guy? No. What about, no. Sorry, I just got to find the right screwdriver for the job. And I can't see them from over there because I'm going blind in my old age. Oh, my phone's ringing. Who would be ringing me? Oh, don't recognise the number. See you later. Do. Sorry you're getting a terrible view at the moment. Is that it? No, that's not it. I'm looking for a particular screwdriver and it's not here. Oh, yeah, this will have to do. Poop. Beep. Sorry, I'm missing the chat at the moment. This is terrible. I am going to do that. Can you tell how uncomfortable I am working on these things? I'm sure it shows. Luke Davis, hello. 3 tech repair streams at once. Who are the other ones? No, I probably shouldn't tell you. Computer booter. I've never watched any of the Coder stuff. I know I should, but I haven't. I don't know if anyone's seen my subscriber numbers lately, but I've got a big milestone coming soon. I would say probably in the next couple of days. Maybe during the weekend. I'll have to do a special stream for that, won't I? Special stream. Yes, I don't know that stuff off the top of my head, I'm afraid, angular momentum. This stupid screw. Get out of it. Thank you. Bonk. These all the same size? Who knows? If they're not, I'll have to sort it out with the iFixit thingy later. Whee! Okay. Is there even more of it? Don't know. Let's have a look. I need to get in here. It's sort of clipped in. There we go. There we go. There we go. Clicked in. Sorry, you're probably staring at my head at the moment. Sorry about that. It's not even a nice head. Red bald thing. It's not actually as red as it appears in that camera. That camera does exaggerate that sort of magenta-iness. Probably need to make some adjustments to the colour. So just in case anyone's thinking, goodness me, you need to go see a doctor, Bruce, because your head's so red. It's not really that red. And I probably should still go and see a doctor anyway. I mean, that's just good advice for someone of my age. One more. Would like to thank Apple for making this battery so hard to get to. And there it is. One little battery. Now I've got to work out where that friggin' thing is plugged in. Not getting any assistance from the iFixit thing now, I'm afraid. Here's the strips. Okay, so let's just scared here. Really don't like working on these things without the instructions. But in the absence of instructions, that's what I'm having to do. I'm going to look at this in the microscope. Sorry, guys. And in the meantime, I'll catch up on the chat. Oh, I got a thumbs down. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, whoever it was. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. I'm always a big fan of someone who gets the motivation to press the thumbs down. So thank you very much. Maybe it's because I haven't reminded people to
smash that like button.
Right, now, scope view. There we go. So let's just have a look in here and see what we can see, because I need to basically get to under here. Things like it's stuck down with tape. There's one of the strips. That's a nice easy one. But there's going to be a strip on this side as well. But I can't get to it. And of course I've got no idea where the battery connects either. Oops. Some weird gluey stuff there. I sort of feel like the battery connector is probably under this thing. So we'll have a look. We'll get adventurous and we'll just start undoing screws. Uh-oh. I don't think that was meant to happen. It's probably dead now. This is really frustrating. That. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to these instructions and see if I can figure some stuff out. So we've done that. What does this say? It says, gently, blah, blah, blah. Black home button is something rather than the orange one here. You can skip this step. Okay, I can skip this step. Take that off, which I've done. Remove 3 1.6mm screws securing the logic board to the rear case. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Then warm back of iPod with heat gun hairdryer in order to remove the battery or something. Do not heat the battery gun, and then what? And 3 knots on the side of the battery, 3 knots using 3 knots. These instructions are so weird. All right, okay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to at least remove the thing that I can remove. How about that? Okay. Just like with me, I was watching on my TV and was using the remote to hit the button. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for undoing it. I appreciate it. Okay, so I am going to grab this because this is the little tab for the adhesive holding this battery in on one side, and I'm hoping that if I can get one side up, I might be able to then do the other side without, removing the strip. Now, removing these strips is a nightmare because if they break part way through, you are proverbially stuffed. Another word came to mind then, but I didn't end up using it because I'm keeping this stream PG. Okay, that's gone. Now, can I Who designed this thing? Who can I blame? Johnny Ive? Can I blame Johnny Ive for this? Not a fan. I must be looking at the wrong instructions here. I'm going to try a different one. Do. Logic board assembly. Let's try logic board assembly, removing that. This looks exactly like the one I was just looking at. Okay, we've got that open, yeah. This is exactly the same instructions that I was just looking at. But, they've got this battery. How's everyone going? I'm having a lousy time. Okay, I'll heat it from the rear. This is what they said to do, heat it from the rear. So I don't like doing. Just reading the chat here, there's some really interesting stuff going on. Totally unrelated to what I'm doing, which makes sense, seeing as what I'm doing is so monumentally boring. Oh, look, the camera came out. Just this battery, oh, okay, I see, it sort of feels... Oh, Jesus, that's... I don't know, that just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right at all. But at the same time, I just don't know And there just seems to be something grabbing in every direction. I mean, the battery has to be disconnected. And for that, I need to find out where it's connected. Oh, God damn. This is a nightmare. Remind me never, ever, ever take one of these on again. Should I just stab something into the battery? Then it can blow up and then we can all get excited. I really should have just gone and grabbed a computer to recap, shouldn't I? God, something smells very sweet. Is that the port wine magnolia? It's a bit early in the year for that. We are making some progress here with the adhesive, and I might even be able to grab that. It's the bottom of the tab. So the tab comes off from this side on this one. How do I get to it? I'm going to do something here what I probably should have done a long time ago. Look at the battery, the replacement battery, and see how it's connected up. That'll show me where the plugs are. Okay, so that's that there. That's that there. Didn't come with any replacement adhesive, so that's awesome. Ah, so that thing that I lifted up is meant to lift up. That is the power thingy. That's there. So there, or something. That's it there. Huh. God. I don't know, how am I supposed to connect that up again? There's something someone's not telling me here. I'm guessing these batteries really aren't meant to be replaced. User replaced. Because of that. But nobody told me that. Okay. Do 2SI PSUs need to be recapped? I know that 2SI and LC PSUs generally need recapping, but I've never seen a 2CI PSU that needed it. Thoughts, anyone? So, anything that old, you know that the capacitors are going to not necessarily be working as well as they did at their peak. So, no harm can come from recapping a 2CI PSU. Having said that, in most instances that I've come across, the power supplies are not the weak point, and they will just keep going for the moment. I've got a 2CI that I have a radius rocket in it, and the radius rocket demands quite a lot of power. And I have found that the hey, I have found that the it sometimes just restarts itself because I think it probably doesn't have enough power to give to the radius rocket. So there we go. We can take this off now. So what I would generally say to you is no harm doing it, but you know, if you want to, just let it run. Let it keep it. Just only recap it when and if you start having problems. I haven't recapped any of my 2CI, 2CX, Quadra 700 power supplies. None of them. So, yeah. Right. So, on the bright side, the thing that I thought I destroyed, I hadn't destroyed. But having said that, I'm really not sure how I go about reattaching this thing. So, this is what the battery connector looks like. I'm just going to show it to you here on the microscope. This is what it looks like here. And it's like it's soldered on. So it's kind of weird in that regard. It's not just like a clip or something like that. You can see it's actually been soldered on to that. So what I'm going to have to do is when I put this in, I'm going to have to get some solder down here, and I'm going to need to actually solder that battery onto this connector. So this is clearly not what I would consider to be an easy job to replace the battery in one of these. And I want to just, whoever it was that sent this to me, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for sending this to me. I agreed to do it. I mean, what am I going to say? There's an alarm going off somewhere, fire alarm or something. There we go. So let's just clean that up. I'll probably blob some solder onto there and then I'll just melt it from the top down. Obviously, you need to make sure you don't get any heat anywhere near the battery itself, because these sorts of batteries, it's quite astonishing really when you think about it, the amount of power that they get into these really small batteries now with these lithium ion batteries. Probably more than needed, but you know what? I don't think it's going to hurt. He says with no idea about whether it's going to hurt or not. I might just take a little bit off. I'm just worried about squeezing out. Squeeze. There we go. All right. So I'm going to have to stick this in. I didn't get any adhesive with it. I do have some battery adhesives here floating around. Let me just see if I can find some. But they're the wrong size for this. Where are they? I'm wondering. I thought they were here, but you know, who knows? Maybe I've run out. You can always just stick some sticky stuff. I've got lots of different types of sticky stuff. I thought they were really easily accessible. I thought I had them nearby. So I was doing quite a lot of battery replacements for a while there. everyone just kept on coming to me and going, can you replace the battery in this? And I'd say yes. So I'm a good, kind-hearted person. I'm not really, but we can pretend. No, not there. No, 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 no. No, not there. No, no. No. Ah, found them. They were underneath things. Okay, let's see if we can repurpose these for this. Probably not. Who knows? So, top view for a second. Top view, top view. There we go. So, I have these little guys. But, as you can see, they're quite a bit bigger than this battery. So, I might be better off just using some double-sided tape. It might make it a little bit more difficult for the next person to remove the battery, but I want them to have as much fun as I did. Here we are. What you got there? Just out of curiosity, Luke Davis, save me going back. What is it you actually, what have you got that's problematic? And should I also just mention to John Powell, 2CI is one of my favourite Macs. It really is. I've actually been having a little bit of fun lately with a website. So I, just for fun, just for, you know, things and giggles, I recently set up a Macintosh LC3 as a web server. And you're sitting, come on, what, are you crazy? Yes, I am. So I set up an LC3 with system 7.1 operating, it's got Open Transport running, and it has Microsoft Personal Web Server running on it. And then I've got an FTP server on it as well, so I can copy files to it. Anyhow, the web address is, everyone get their pens ready, the web address is vintage.brankus.com. So if anyone wants to check that out, if they have a spare moment, and tell me what they think of this website. There's only 2 pages at this stage. I'm going to add more stuff to it in time. But at the moment, it is a vintage website that uses good old-fashioned HTML1 or 2 or whatever it is, the early stuff. And has no JavaScripts, no bloated graphics, none of that. And is designed to run on vintage computers. So if you're someone who has a vintage computer and you have connected it to the web and you would like to visit a web page that your computer is going to be able to cope with, feel free to drop in to vintage.brankus.com and check it out. It's going to make you feel very nostalgic if you're someone who's into old websites. A denial of service attack, yeah, thank you. I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, I mean, it's an LC3. It's not fast. When you visit it, you'll be blown away by how slow it is. But, you know, it's an LC3, and it's a web server, LC3. I mean, what can you say? It's awesome. I love it. Right. So we now need to connect this battery up, which I'm not really thrilled about, but I don't believe there's any other way to do this. So we've got a little connector here. We need to line these things up to the best of our ability. I really did get tricked into doing this, didn't I? I need my other tweezers wherever they are. I need my tweezers that actually allow me to properly grab stuff. Here we are. These are the ones for plucking my eyebrows and holding onto things. Not secure. Yeah, no, not secure. Well, let's face it, if I did secure it, no one would be able to use it. Oh, well, no one on vintage computers would be able to use it. Someone's alarm is going off at the moment, and it's just going and going and going and going. Far out, this is really complicated. Well, actually, it's not complicated, it's just difficult. So the thing is that this little tab here that I'm fiddling around with, that you can't see me fiddling around with, it's not positioned perfectly. I sort of feel if I don't get this right, oh, far out, man. See, it needs to be further down. I don't know. I get it to tuck down under here more. That's where it needs to be. Heat up. Sorry, my soldering iron has cooled down. Fudge. If I can just get one of them. Okay, got one stucky. Right, little teeny bit of flux. A modicum of flux can be most advantageous. And then I'm going to use something plastic to hold this because it has live current. Okay, well, I think we're stuck. I think we're there. I think we're done. We're stuck down. I think we're all pretty good. Now I need to clean some of this crap off without creating any sort of short. This is shiny. Why is it shiny? I don't know. Can you use alcohol? I've used a little bit of alcohol. Hello, LMNO. How are you today? Just checking here. So, just to anyone who is joining, this for the benefit of LMNO here and anyone else that might have joined recently. I got tricked. Okay, well, first of all, I've already moved on from what I was looking at before. I was looking at a what did I call that thing? A 2012 MacBook Pro. As it turns out, it's just a dead keyboard, needs to be replaced, no big deal. I also found some corrosion on the board, so I replaced a couple of capacitors, and then it's going to have an ultrasonic clean and all good. that happened so quickly, I decided I would do this. This is another job that I had sitting around. It is an iPod Touch, I think 7th gen or 6th gen. Someone asked me if I could replace the battery on it. And I was, yeah, sure, no problem, I can replace that. Only to find that the connector for the battery is actually soldered onto the logic board. So I ended up having to obviously remove the battery and then had to solder this connector back on. And I got to tell you, if anyone ever comes to you and says, can you replace the battery in an iPod Touch Gen 6/7? The answer is no, don't do it. Don't take it on, run the other way. So now that we've got that unpleasantness sorted out, let's get some screws back into it. These all look the same length, so I can just put these into any hole with impunity. Because you do have issues with a lot of these phones and whatnot, where they have screws of a particular length for a particular location. And if you put the wrong screw into the wrong spot, you can get what's called long screw damage, where the screw actually goes through and damages something on the other side, like on a circuit board. And we do not want that. Let's get this. Here we go. Now I'm hearing sirens. I bet you that this alarm going off is a fire alarm. You guys probably can't hear it, it's off in the distance, but there is a fire alarm going off. Was that it? We'll have to check the instructions. Yeah, that's the spot. Okay, so that is the logic board back down. As you can see, it is a very, very small logic board, but that's to be expected. I mean, think of how small the logic board in a watch must be, and the watch is amazing. All right, let's change the view here. This is a stupid view for me to be using for this. There we go. So, thank you to everyone who is persevering with the live stream. You all should have a medal. Now, this has got this metallic finish here, which I really don't like, the idea of a metallic finish on top of this conductive stuff. I mean, I guess it's purposeful, but I'd like to stick something on there, like a bit of Captain tape or something like that to insulate it. So I'm gonna. Oh, come on. Come on. I'm having so much trouble with tape today. Gotcha. Good enthusiast talk going on in there at the moment. Good on you, everyone. Now, which way did this go on? I think it was that way, because I'm pretty sure I lifted that up. That way. There we go. Wow. Well, I think we're done. Well, pretty much anyway. I'm going to have to stick it back together, of course, but the camera's popped out. You can pop back in again, little Mr. Cameraman. And let's just test it and see if we're getting any magic. Yeah, look at that. Piece of work. Oh, hang on. I'm missing a bit. Yeah, a fairly important part, this piece of metal that needs to go back on. we're not quite finished yet. There we go, look at that. Look at it. Oh boy. The metallized plastic is a shield. Cool. Now, I've just got to check these screw sizes here, make sure that okay, there is one long one. There's one really long one, 2.3 mils. Let's grab that one. That looks like you. And then there's another one which is 1.2, and the rest are 1.6. So we're looking for a long one. We're looking for a short one. There's a short one. And the short one goes... Oh, we've got two short ones, sorry. Short one goes up here. Where's that? Here we go. Let's find the other short one. There you are. Found you. I found you. Oh God, one of my moustache hairs is curled up and going up my nostril. And that is going to make me sneeze. Why aren't you going in? Oh. Okay, then the long one was this one. Sure enough, the picture's this way around. So that's the long one there. Oh God, there's this alarm going off at the moment. It's very annoying. Pretty constant. Not quite as tedious as replacing a keyboard, but close. Everyone staying awake? Yeah. I'm glad everyone's finding things to talk about in the chat. And it's not up to me to entertain because, boy. Swear word nearly came out then. Right. So, it seems that the sticky here is the main thing that holds this in. There's a little bit of sticky just there. And I feel like that's the main thing holding the whole thing together. Okay, well that seems to be largely together. I mean, I wonder if that sticky stuff is still sticky enough. What I may end up doing is use some glue. That's not in. That's sticking up at that end. No, we're not in yet. Just in case anyone has never heard of this stuff, there's this glue called B7000. This is the stuff here. And I have to admit, I am ending up using this now more than I used to use all the adhesive tapes. So you have the tapes that you put on to adhere these, and you can often buy them in kits and you stick them down, and then they, sort of they're used for holding these things together. And I've just never been particularly happy with the performance of a lot of those tapes. They're just sort of not quite sticky enough. And so what I have been doing now is I've been using this B7000 glue, and it's great stuff. You know, you need to keep pressure applied to yeah, that's stuck real well. It's better. And so yeah, I've been using this B7000 glue quite a lot. It's great stuff. You can just pick it up on eBay, and you just stick it on there. You just make sure you hold it closed with some clamps or something like that while the glue dries, and they stick real good. So okay, let's just check and see if this still works. Good sign. I didn't get a passcode for this, so I can't do that much with it once it's on, but you know. Oh, Drake, have you been dealing out goodies again? Hello, Macintosh Librarian. Hello, Kate. I hope you are well. Doing very uninteresting stuff today. I've been playing with the MacBook Pro 2012, and hang on. Does this mean that the home button's not working? Is that why that comes up? Does that come up because the home button's not working? Oh no, his home button's working. Oh, he's just got the home button there. 0, 0, 0, 0. Oh. Right, not to worry. Well, it appears to be working. The touchscreen is working. Obviously, it's not got much charge. These need to be generally calibrated. So what the best thing to do with these is to let the battery run down till it is below 10. See, look at that. It just jumped up. So you've got to let the battery run down until it is below like 10%. It's a good idea to just let it run completely flat. And then charge it all the way up to 100% and leave it plugged in for a while after that. And generally that will recalibrate the battery. So, yeah. But I might have to get the guy's code for this because it'd be easier for me to run down the battery if I can leave it on rather than just like this. Yeah. So, anyhow, look, that all went well. That's been done. It's going to need a clean. It's as dirty as anything, but with my grubby fingerprints all over it. But it was done, and so just letting everyone know, if anyone asks you if you can replace the battery in an iPod Touch 6th or 7th generation, the answer is no. Don't do it. Run the other way. That was an awful job. It was not fun. And so there. Just awful. Just awful. How? There, that's in. Right. Okay, so that goes into the calibrate and clean and stuff, but as I say, I want to get the passcode from him so I can open it up. He might have already given it to me. I'll have to check my correspondence. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at chat, see what's going on here. See, we've got about 30 people watching. Thank you to everyone who is watching. I appreciate it, and I apologise for being so darn boring today. So just a reminder to everyone, go and check out vintage.brankus.com, only because I want my little hit counter to go up. It's the website that I set up, hosted on an LC3 with, I don't know, whatever it is it's got. I list the specs on the website of everything that it's got, how much RAM, how much VRAM, and stuff like that. It's even got one of Drake's VRAM sims in it, so how about that? Just looking. All right, so just checking to see if, yeah, we've just got, yeah. Okay, so before I sign off, I've been going now for 2 hours and 20 minutes. That is a long time. I was going to keep it down to 2 hours, but now I've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Does anyone have any questions they want to hit me up with before I disappear into the ether? There's the old battery, looking awful. the job that I did today is one that I've been really putting off and really didn't want to do. So, yeah, good to get it done. Feels good. Put the link in the chat. I should do that, shouldn't I? Vintage. Vintagebreakers.com. And bang. So far my hit counter is sitting at 202. So yeah. And just again, when it comes to speed, set your expectations accordingly. It has a 25 megahertz 68030 CPU, 68882 FPU, 36 megabytes of RAM, 768 kilobytes of VRAM, and it's got a blue SCSI internal SD drive running System 7.1 and then hosted by Microsoft Personal Web Server version 1.0. And so, yeah, glory be. What would you rather work on, my 840AV or an iPod Touch battery? Well, at least I know there's a positive outcome from the iPod. I can't say the same about your 840AV. Having said that, now that you've got it to the state you've got it now, where it's mostly working, yeah, I'd be happy to look at your 840AV now. What useful things can you use an old phone for? I wish someone would tell me. In actual fact, you know, I need someone to tell me what useful things I can do with a 2012 Mac Mini, because I now have like 3 of them. Needs more animated GIFs. Yeah, I know it does, doesn't it? It's so funny. I was looking back at an old website of mine that I did donkeys years ago, and every single link on the thing is like a little spinning animation. And I did most of the animations myself using 3D software. You know, I made the little things in 3D and then animated them and that. And oh God, I was so damn proud of them. Remember guest books? Does everyone remember guest books? When you visit a web page, please sign my guest book. That was just, it was the thing. Everyone who set up a website set up a guest book. You know, please sign my guest book. Oh dear. I would really like to own an 840AV, but preferably one that works and I don't have to spend years of work on it. Need a new sound chip in the AV, I think. I bet you don't. I bet you there's still another busted trace on there you just haven't found yet. Got to remember, you've been looking at that thing. How many times did you look at it and you still managed to find a busted trace on it that made it work? So, guest book was it. Oh dear. And web rings, yeah, I know. Well, you know what's so funny is that one of the very first websites I set up, I put links to different web searches on it, because at the time, it wasn't standardized. Now I realize that a lot of people like to use different search engines, things like DuckDuckGo, and of course I think there's probably like 2 or 3 people that like to use Bing as well. But Google is obviously the main search engine that people use, and to the point that it's become part of the vernacular. People talk about Google it. They don't say DuckDuckGo it. You know, they say Google it. But at the time, you know, there were lots of different search engines. I mean, there was one called, I think there was Web Crawler. And there was Yahoo had a search engine. There was I can't remember. I can't remember the names of a lot of them. But I remember on this first website I set up, I actually put links to like 4 different search engines on the thing. Why would you do that? In the very early days of the internet, I bought a book of websites. So it was an internet directory, but as a book. An actual printed paper book. This was just in the very early days when I was sort of just discovering the internet. Alta Vista, that was one, yeah. Web Crawler was my favorite as well. Lycos, that's the other one, yeah. Alta Vista was the one I was thinking of that I couldn't think of. Wrote my own guest book in Quick Basic. It actually freaking worked. Well, the interesting thing about this personal web server that I'm using on LC3, it actually has a very, very basic like ASP interpreter in it. which was not particularly good for me because I am a PHP person, but nonetheless, it still allows me to do things like, create variables and stuff like that, so I can, so that I can have the counter, and it does actually allow me to have a guest book as well. So I'm very tempted to add a guest book to this stupid website. And there is a link on there on that to look at all of my 68K collection. So if you're interested to see what 68K Macs I have in my collection, you can click on it and see. Yeah. Which college campus hosted the first live 24/7 webcam? I couldn't tell you. Don't know much about colleges. They call university here. Fish tank. Okay, well, I'm just prolonging the inevitable here. This stream has to come to an end. I'm going to go get myself some lunch. It's 1 p.m. here. Lunchtime. Yeah. Yep, indeedy. I remember how I actually got into PHP at the time. I was building websites for a company. I was doing lots of things. I did lots of things there, but they started getting into web stuff, and I was like, well, I'm learning this at the same time. So if you want to do it, I'm quite happy to do it. And this is an interesting story. Okay, well, it's not really, but I'm going to try and make it interesting. We had a client come to us, and they wanted a website that was a directory of, get ready for it, dog semen. It was designed for breeders, and the whole idea was that you would log on to this website and you would be able to look up information about different dogs and what sort of semen was available if you wanted to breed with one of the dogs on this website with your dog to make purebreds and stuff like that. So they had the whole idea was to have information on it. Now, I had built quite a lot of websites up until that point, but the one thing that I had not done was make the information go in two directions. I would have it so that there was information there, but no interaction, so that if someone wanted to submit some information or, things like having a directory. So in other words, I had never linked up a website to a database. All I had ever done was just straight HTML with no server-side stuff. And when this job came along with the dogs, I said, can you do this? And I looked at it and I said, well, with my current base of knowledge, no, I can't, but I'll go in and see what I can find out. So I did some research at the time, and I basically found that the PHP MySQL combination, the LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, seemed to be the more common, certainly at the time. This is many, many years ago, keep in mind. This is probably late 90s, maybe early thousands. Probably early thousands. And and I basically, and not only that, it was free. It was essentially free. You could set yourself up with this without any additional cost. Whereas when you were looking at, say, a Microsoft solution, there was outlay. So I said, look, I think PHP MySQL is the way to go. I went out and I bought myself a great big fat book on learning how to use it, and the rest is history. That website never ended up getting made, never got off the ground. Don't ask me why. Probably, I don't know. But, yeah. Gets distracted by something. Dog semen, what? I know, it's the weirdest thing. It is the weirdest thing. It's like, okay, so how did you get into PHP MySQL? Dog semen. Yeah, that's how. Nate's here. Hello, Nate. Yeah. Lamp for the win. Yeah, or ramp. Or we pronounce it Zamp, I assume. Yes, they're very, very true. I am very much the sort of, a lamp person. For me, I like the, sort of like, you just get yourself Ubuntu for free. You go and install it on a computer. Load up sort of the hosting server. There is a fantastic free application out there, called ISP config. If you're interested in any web-based stuff, check it out. It allows you to set up a Linux or a Linux server and install this internet service provider config software that allows you to then go in and set up multiple websites, set up FTP accounts, automatically install SSL certificates. It's a tool for managing multiple websites on a single server. So if you were setting up a server and you perhaps wanted to set up websites for other customers or something like that, you could go and set something up on say AWS, Amazon Web Services, and then you can go and install this ISP config, and then you've got all this full management tool, and it's free. There are other ones out there, things like Web Host Manager or cPanel, fantastic products, love them, but there's a lot of money spent on them now. In the olden days, the price wasn't too bad, but the price for that software has just consistently gone up. And then what they've also done is they've tiered it. It used to be there was like 2 or 3 different tiers. Now there are a whole stack of different tiers of the software that you can pay for, and it's a subscription base, and it's bloody expensive. So, anyhow, this ISP config is free, and I've got it running on a server here in my living room, office, in my office. Just on a little Mac Mini, and it is brilliant. It is so good. It's so easy to set up a website. So anyhow, that's enough of that. Okay. Auto installs WordPress. I gave it a domain. I tell you something I've just discovered recently for WordPress, which I freaking love as a PHP developer, is a little plugin called Snippets that allows you to just inject a little bit of code wherever you want it. So you can just set up a page, and then you can just plonk in, just using a shortcode, just put in a shortcode, which then allows you to run your own PHP code, and you can just start messing around. You can mess around, and it is so easy. If you're a PHP person like me, so easy to then go in and start making pretty serious customizations to web pages in WordPress. Fantastic stuff. Highly recommend it. Yes, I am still here, but I am about to go. I am just prattling at this stage. I'm trying to recover for such a terrible live stream where we basically had a MacBook Pro that I thought I was going to be going in and doing all sorts of repairs and diagnostics on. And it worked. It's just a dead keyboard. And then, I replaced the capacitor on it just to prove that I know how to use a soldering iron. And then I replaced the battery in an iPod Touch, and that was a freaking nightmare. And I had to concentrate on it so much, I barely talked the whole time, so I'm making up for it now. Okay. Right. Snippets. Is that what I said? Did I not say it? Snippets. That's the plugin. It's bloody brilliant for WordPress. Absolutely fantastic. I just finished doing a job for a customer. I think they're supposed to go live with it today. They said yesterday, but I think they're going to go live with it today. That I did that on. And what it enabled me to do, what I ended up actually doing with it, what they wanted is they want a web page, and on that web page they want a whole series of events to appear on the page. And what I ended up doing was I ended up making the events as blogs, so blog entries. So when you go in and you do posts, you create posts, and they were the events. And then I did, using snippets, I made it so that it actually then grabs those events and puts them across the page on a page. But here's the tricky bit. What I did was, for the dates of those events, I actually used the publish date. So even for one that is published in the future, I made it so that my code still accessed that one, because normally if it's scheduled, if it's published in the future, it shouldn't show up. So I've made it so it does show up, and it shows up with the date of the post and stuff like that. And I was just so happy with the way it worked. It's really, really good. Very happy. More live streams, please. Yeah, well, I will almost definitely be live streaming this weekend, either tomorrow or Sunday. I just need to check what my weekend looks like. I'll probably set that up with a thumbnail and everything soon. I need to find some funny pictures of a few people first, because I am planning on working on a particular SE30 board that might make Joe happy. All right, well, I think at this stage I'll probably head off, because, as I say, I'm a little bit on the hungry side. Would like to get myself some lunch. I am going to install a more modern operating system on this so that I can use it on newer Macs, because this has got 10.10 or something on it, or 10.11. I should get like 10.13 on it, something like that. So I will do that. Going to drop this board into the ultrasonic cleaner. Going to order a new keyboard for it. And yeah, happy chappy. So a big thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you all for persevering with it. It really wasn't one of my finest. I'm not sure I'm even going to bother making a thumbnail for this one. I'll just try and find a screen grab or something like that. And so what did we learn from it? We learned don't try and replace the battery in an iPod Touch 6th, 7th generation. So, all right, so SadMac356, hello. I don't think I said hello to you. Maybe because you've only just arrived, I don't know. But anyhow. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for keeping me company. Thank you for watching. I do hope you join my next stream and streams in the future. Thanks for all the likes and all that sort of stuff. And I will see you in the future. Bye now.